Hello there, folks. I'm Dan Brown from a sort of interesting life.com. You're joining me on board good old Narrowboat Tilly, and I can only apologise if in this video I'm even less focused and my voice is even a weirder pitch than it normally is, as I'm still in that sort of heart-pounding adrenaline phase of catching somebody in the act of stealing my iPod and the tripod that it was sat on. And I just don't know what to think about this. Now, I've had a look through the footage because luckily it was recording the whole time. Little did they know. And I mean, I'm just amazed that I'm convinced 100%, and I think you will be too when you see the clips, that this was a person trying to make off with this with nobody knowing that they had it. So let's get this video in sequence of events. So, being out on the boat with my granddad today, I had just a little trip, only about half a mile, just up towards a bridge so that we could easily get a load of wood supplies and general bits and pieces out of his car, down onto the canal and onto Tilly without having to drag it too far. Then the sun started to come out and I've been out in the kayak and it's just been an absolutely beautiful day. So I thought, right then, let's actually get something proper done that isn't just playing outside. So I thought, right, I'm going to spend maybe a solid hour or so writing, and then I'll head out for a bit of a proper walk a bit further afield down the towpath just to see who's about and what boats are about. And I cannot believe this, but I just thought, you know what? Well, we've got like a nice blue sky and perfect fluffy clouds and that. I might go and take the iPod around, stick it on a tripod just on the opposite side of the canal and just leave it filming for an hour or so. But I'm sat on board doing me writing, so I'm not far away and I can keep checking up on it and check that it's still there and what have you. And really, that was the plan. So that's exactly what happened to start with. And well, I suppose first of all, I'll show you exactly where the tripod was set up. It's literally just maybe like 100 foot away, just across the canal. And you'll see from this clip now exactly the sort of time lapse and how perfect a little clip it was going to be with an hour's worth of footage. Right then, roll the clip now. Can you imagine how perfect a time-lapse this would have made if this clip was an hour or so long? Anyway, let's not lament that fact of all things. Now, you can certainly say that it was stupid to leave the camera on a tripod out in the field, but what I will say is that many of you know I do a lot of time lapses and I very often leave the camera on the other side of the canal, or maybe not very often, but I'll basically prop the camera up somewhere and then head to that side of the canal and back via kayak. So there's literally nobody walks past it, basically. They can walk past on the towpath, but the camera would be a good sort of 40 foot of water away. So anyway, this bizarre thing. I mean, like I say as well, normally when I do these time lapses, I stay out with the camera and I just mill around in the field and take little video clips to edit and stuff like that. If I'm doing little, what would you say, like montage, that sort of medley footage videos and boat trips, and I take that on an iPad to just sit around and just generally tinker doing more stuff rather than just stand in a field for half an hour doing nothing while a video's filming. So this time I thought, right, it's only going to be over there. I'm at Welshampton in the middle of nowhere, so there's never anyone around. And, well, that's not quite how it worked out. So I came back over to Tilly and, like I say, started going through me writing and that, and just, well, literally like 2 minutes of fiddling about. Every couple of minutes, yeah, come up to the window, have a look, yeah, everything's all good. And everything was fine until literally about 6 minutes into the attempted time lapse, I look through the curtains and hang on a minute, there's no iPod and there's definitely no tripod there. So I'm like, right then, am I missing something here? What? So I like really pressed my face up and was like, no, it's definitely not there. Because I thought perhaps it's further on than I expected it to be. But there it is. So my immediate thing is, right, grab me keys and just run out of the door, slam the door behind me. And I'm thinking, well, there's only 3 possible ways. Nobody's gone down that way on the canal. So they're either gone that way on the road, that way on the road, or that way on the canal. And I thought, I'm more than happy that I can, even in my older, unfit state that I'm in these days compared to the good old days, I'm sure that I can track them down and recover the items. So That's exactly what I did. And bizarrely, as I was running up the towpath towards the bridge, there was a chap walking across the bridge back to the side that the camera had been set up on. And as I caught him up, he literally was in the process of just, basically starting to walk off with the tripod. If I didn't have the footage to see what we'll all be able to see in a moment, then I would give him the benefit of the doubt and say maybe he was just trying to put it somewhere out of the way or something. I really just don't know. But, well, I do know exactly. You'll see exactly what I mean. But I don't know. Basically, what we're about to see is footage of, and I'm not going to show him just in case he is innocent, in that tiny little 1% minuscule chance that this was something that he wanted to do as a good deed for some reason. But even if you saw a camera set up on a tripod in a field, you wouldn't normally, I assume, go, well, what I'm going to do is take that with me and not just leave it where it is, where it's clearly been set up deliberately. It's not like it's just dropped on the floor and he's walking along the road and found it. He's gone out of his way to get this. But the footage, and this is what I think is the damning thing, shows on 2 occasions after he's picked up the the tripod and everything. I can see there's part, first of all, where he sets it all down and winds everything down to make it as portable as it can be, which isn't particularly incriminating. But then what is the fact that on 2 separate occasions, a car approaches down the lane, well, a car and then a tractor, comes down the lane, and you instantly see the tripod and everything thrown into some long grass, and then as soon as the vehicle goes, picked back up. Basically, he doesn't want anybody to see him doing it and with it. Then a tractor comes down and it's a similar thing, immediately into the long grass, and then he walks across the bridge, which is at the point that I saw him. At this point, he's already collapsed down the tripod, and as a car approaches now, you'll see, straight into the long grass it goes, and then after the car goes, immediately it gets picked back up. In this particular incident, he's thrown it back into the long grass. As you may hear, there's a tractor coming, so that's all fun and games, and obviously the tractor's very noisy. At this point, he's walked across the bridge, which is where I first saw him when I started to leg it out of Tilly. And then there's about maybe a 20-second period between the tractor going past and then him walking back and picking it up, which at that point was lucky that I was already there on the scene. Having that delay of the tractor making him throw it back into the long grass is when I saw him and I was already running. I mean, had that have been 20 seconds later, I would have got up there and I had no idea which of the 3 directions this camera and tripod had gone to. So again, unbelievable. And it's like I say, when I got up there and saw this chap holding it, my only thought, rather than any sort of thoughts of extreme actions to take against the person himself, was, phew, all I care about is getting that. And I just must have been like, all right. And I just didn't know what on earth to think at the time. And like I say, if it wasn't for the fact that I've got this footage of it being thrown into the long grass out of view every time a car came past or another person was involved, it just makes you think, is that the action of someone doing a good deed or somebody who doesn't want to be seen doing this? So anyway, that's just a random thing. I'll say this much though, if ever I need it, I've got some incredibly good close-up footage directly focused on this chap's face. So yeah, again, I mean, I just don't know what to say. And I'm in that thing of still being like, has this actually just happened? What on earth's going on? On that note, I suppose I'll say thanks very much for tuning in. I mean, that's just a random video. I thought, well, I'm in that overexcited state of what's happening here, I would just switch another camera on and start talking. Until the next time, feel free to check out my other videos for loads more boaty stuff and actual proper scenery things, and hopefully less interrupted videos where some random chap has decided to help himself to a camera. Feel free to add me on Facebook and Twitter, that sort of stuff. You find all the links in the description. And of course, please do consider checking out my boaty books for more on life afloat. Until the next time, I'm going to hold on very tight to this, so keep it lock and key worthy, keep it boat worthy, and of course, farewell. Oh man, what's going on here?